everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Jurassic World Dino Trackers Wild Roar Eocarcharia. So again, much like the Dryptosaurus in the last review, this is a brand new species introduced into the Mattel line, and I am very excited to have this one, mainly because it's a brand new species, and it was actually one I never even personally heard of, just like other past Mattel dinosaurs they would release. Sometimes they released ones that I don't even have any recognition of, and so it's kind of given me a bit of education on many types of dinosaurs that existed or that have been discovered. And this one is one of those. This is such a cool one. I never heard of an Eocarcharia before, and this is really cool for me, getting a new species, and I really am digging just the way this figure looks. So we'll briefly take a look at the packaging here. As you can see, I've already opened it, but in terms of the packaging here, it's your standard Dino Trackers packaging for the Wild Roar figures, and this is my second Wild Roar from this assortment. As you can see, this is part of the mountainous or foresty environments, which is really cool. You got the cool shot of Blue and Beta, Jurassic World, Wild Roar Eocarcharia, Dino Trackers Mattel, and you got the Jurassic World logo pretty much on both sides, as well as the Dino Trackers logo. And on the back here, you got the facts app information, shows you how the figure works with the levels of aggression, the render, says it makes noise, and the other figures in the line. In case any of you saw my recent story, or short on YouTube, I guess you could say, I recently acquired the Diabloceratops, so I'm really excited to take a look at that one. And then I'm still on the hunt for that Kronosaurus. So that's basically it for the packaging. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this dinosaur. So this figure is actually really cool looking, much like what I said. The sculpt on it is really cool. The colors on it are really cool. I would definitely say this one's probably my least favorite out of the first wave of these Wild Roar figures. Just because, I like the colors, but they are a little bit basic, and there's nothing too striking happening right here. It's not like what you get with like an Indominus or a Giganotosaurus, for example. But I still like it. Definitely one worth picking up if you're trying to collect every single new species that's ever introduced into the Mattel line to grow your whole dinosaur collection. And yeah, I'm just super happy to finally have this guy. This one's really cool looking, as you can see. In terms of detail here on the head, nice detail in the skull right here, especially all those cool little scales and bumps that are all over it, especially here on the top of the snout here. Really cool looking. Nostrils nicely painted, but the scale work is really nicely done on it. The teeth are a little bit big. They're a little too fat for my liking. I wish they were a bit skinnier, but it works for what it is. The eye is nicely sculpted, a pretty large eye if you ask me, but it is sculpted, very nicely. And then here on the inside of the mouth, you got the nice teeth that are sculpted, nice glossy tongue, and on the roof of the mouth is nicely painted and sculpted. I just like how they painted both sides of the mouth, top and bottom, makes it look a lot more complete. And now we get to the main attraction with the sculpt of this figure, and that's feathers. And we'll get into more of that in a little bit, but only because of the type of dinosaur it is. So here, in terms of feathers, you got the nice hair-like feathers that you see in a lot of dinosaur art, and kind of like what modern dinosaurs are usually represented in, just kind of like more this hair-like filaments, which are looking really nice. They feel nice too. A lot of nice sculpt work went into this, and Mattel did a really nice job with it. I like how it just starts off here on the face, and it just kind of almost covers the entire body. And then here on the lower jaw area, you got some more feathers, especially here on the underside, so that's really cool. And then here on the body, as well as the neck, you got lots of nice, feather detail. And then here here on the body as well. Lots of nice sculpt work in the feathers, which are looking really nice. And you got some skin scales and sculpt work going on right there. Here at the arms, half of it is skin, half of it is covered in feathers, which are really nice. Seems to be only on the underside, as if it were gonna have wings or something. And the claws, the three-fingered claws, are sculpted very nicely. And here on the underside, you just got some more of that nice scale detail that pretty much continues all the way down. So aside from the neck and a little bit of the chest area right there, the entire underside is all skin, or the scaly skin, I guess you could say, which looks really nice. Here at the legs, you got some more nice feathers texture on the leg here, and then you get to see a little bit more of some scales popping through, and you get the feathers go all the way down to just about the toes, and then it's the classic bird-like dinosaur or theropod feet. You even got feathers on the dew claw itself, which is really cool, really nice looking, and then the detail on that is nice as well. And you got the cool Jurassic logo, so really cool looking overall. I just like the combination of feathers and skin applied to this figure. It looks really nice instead of just covering the whole thing in feathers. And then here on the tail, the entire top side is covered in feathers, which are looking really nice. So really cool overall. I really am digging the feathers on this guy, and I love how Mattel is giving us more feathered dinosaurs. It's like after Dominion, all of a sudden they're giving us more feathers, so that's really cool. In terms of colors, the colors are really nice. They are a little bit simple, in my opinion. Not as complex as a lot of other dinosaur figures, but it works for what it is. I like the colors, very mountainous vibes, especially if it's like covered in snow or anything. So this is kind of like a snow dinosaur almost. You got a nice like turquoisey, like greenish gray color for almost the entire body, as well as the underside of the jaw right here, and then a dark blue, like a navy blue possibly, for like the head, neck, and this part of the body, as well as the arms. And you get a little bit of that sprinkled on the tail, which is very interesting that they just applied it just there. And you got some nice red on the top of the feathers, which are looking really nice. I really do like that. Makes it stand out. And I love the red around the eye too. I like how it's applied. However, I feel like the paint for the eye is a little bit lazy. They painted the whole thing red and just added in some black for the underside as well as the slit. So it's like literally the colors are just bleeding into the eye as if it's represent the slit, which I know it is, but I only say it's a little bit lazy. I mean, they could have added like a yellow or an orange for the actual inside of the eye, or even a white, instead of just having it the same color as this red. It does look like it is a little cheap and not painted very well, but that's pretty much the only downside I have with this figure. The teeth are nicely painted, and then as you saw with the inside of the mouth is nicely painted with like this fleshy pink reddish color with some nice gloss coating on it to make it have like that wet saliva look to it, which I really do like with a lot of Mattel's dinosaurs. And the colors work, like I said. However, I think it could have been applied a little bit better. Keep where the red is, but I would probably say maybe make this lighter color be only where the skin is showing, and have this dark portion be where all the feathers is, so that you're kind of using the whole feathers and skin ratio very well, or at least apply any of the feathered parts with this type of pattern that Mattel's did there. Just have a lot of that darker color kind of like sprinkled or dry brushed on top of the feathers to kind of give it more of that feathery look, I guess. So it could have been applied just a little bit better, but it does work for what it is for right now anyways. And obviously the toenails aren't painted, but that's to be expected. So I'm not really gonna shame on Mattel too much for there. In terms of articulation, you don't get a whole lot, but much like the Dryptosaurus, the arms here can move forward and backwards, and they can pivot in and out. And the legs can also move pretty much the full rotation, 360, and they can also pivot in and out for some nice stability. And then the tail can also rotate, but like I said, that's pretty much a useless joint Everything else is tied to the action feature, which, like I said, with the Dryptosaurus, it's the same little button right here that you flip from side to side to make its head rotate, and its mouth will open and close and then give out some roars. So let's go ahead and test out the action feature as well as listen to the sounds. Alright, so that was the action feature. Much easier to use on this one. I guess with the Dryptosaurus it was hard because it had spikes on it, but this one's a lot more easier to control. And as for the sounds are pretty good in my opinion. I don't recognize any of them, which is very interesting. So I can't say for sure if they reused any movie dinosaur sounds or anything like that, so I would say that's a huge plus, at least they're not giving it like a raptor or a T-Rex noise, but I think for the sound's sake, it sounds pretty good. And for comparisons, in case any of you do not know, Eocarcharia here is actually a member of the Carcharodontosaur family. So that pretty much makes up any dinosaur that's part of the, large carnivorous theropods that ruled the Cretaceous at one point in time before even T-Rex showed up. And that obviously makes up for the Giganotosaurus, the Carcharodontosaurus for the namesake, Eocarcharia itself, and then Concavenator. So these are all of the Carcharodontosaurs that Mattel has given us as of right now. And this is a pretty cool little family shot we got going on here. And obviously we have Owen for a human comparison. And as you can also see, Eocarcharia is a smaller Carcharodontosaur. And, it is bigger than your average Concavenator, but still smaller than those like the massive Giganotosaurus right there. And this is really cool. I really love the huge family shot of various different Carcharodontosaurs from Mattel. And what's even cooler in my opinion is that Eocarcharia marks the first Carcharodontosaur from Mattel to be covered in feathers, because there is no evidence of these type of dinosaurs having feathers, and I think that's a cool little creative choice that Mattel's done. Much like what they did with the Rugops being the first feathered abeliasaur, I'm just waiting for them to put feathers on a Spinosaur, which will be pretty cool, even though it's not entirely accurate, but I think it'd be really cool. So this whole comparison shot here is really nice. So everyone, that's about to wrap it up for this review. For my final thoughts, I really do like this figure. It's nice to get another new species. But I'm still going to say it's still probably my least favorite out of this wave 1 of these type of figures. And, the sculpting is excellent. The color choices that they picked are excellent. I just wish that, I think they could have applied the colors differently or a bit better in my opinion. And the only downside I really have is just the way they painted the eye. But other than that, it's a pretty solid figure. I like the button. I like the sounds, much easier to control than the Dryptosaurus. But, for what it is, it's a really nice figure, and I highly recommend it for any Jurassic Park collector, in my opinion at least. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next review.